Well, guys, I was close on my prediction with Nano Dimension. Remember, I guessed. My prediction with Nano Dimension is that it would end the year at $9.03 per share. It closed the day. It was looking really, really close. It closed the day at $9.10 before jumping up a little bit after hours to $9.19. There was an interview that Yoav Stern did, and I haven't talked about it yet, but I want to touch on a few things that Yoav talked about in this interview on the Redchip Money Report. So we're going to go over some of the things that Yoav says, and then I'll add a little something to the discussion as well. So I hope you guys are excited for that, because that's what we're going to do in this video. So stick around. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Thank you so much for joining me for another video. I'm Richard Allan. We talk about stocks on this channel, and Nano Dimension is one of my favorites, even though I sold out of my entire position. Not to put it in Bitcoin like John Paul investing did, but I sold out of my entire position to sort of start over. I'm starting a brand new challenge on Monday, January 4th, where I am going to fund my Robinhood account with $10,000, and I have to try to grow that $10,000 without adding any money from $10,000 to $100,000 by the end of 2021, and we'll document that entire journey on my Discord and my Patreon, and I'm excited to share that with you guys. Now, I will be updating you guys on that journey on YouTube as well, at least once a week. But if you want to get buying and selling decisions kind of live and on time when I'm making those decisions, we'll be doing that over on the Discord and the Patreon. So if you're interested in that sort of thing, I would love to have you over there. We're building an amazing community of investors already. There's just over 80 of us on that Discord right now. I've already spoken to a lot of you guys one-on-one over on the Discord, and we have some amazing people over there. Seriously, some great investors, and some people just trying to do the right thing in the world. And I'm excited to build that community with you guys. So if you're excited to join that community, please join, but join tomorrow because I don't want you to join today and then get charged again tomorrow. So just kind of keep that in mind. That's how Patreon works. And I hope you want to be a part of that 10K to 100K challenge, because it's going to be super, super fun. I'm not going to day trade. I'm going to actually make calculated risks, and it's a risk to invest in the stock market, and I will screw up every once in a while, but I'll be documenting the whole thing, and I'm excited to do that journey. So let's jump right into the interview with Yoav Stern. In this segment, he gives us an analogy that is fantastic, that essentially compares the normal PCB industry right now to what Nano Dimension does in a way that we as laymen that aren't electrical engineers or software engineers can understand. Okay, so let's just jump right into it.
I can give you an analogy, if it's okay, Dave, about to people who are not electronic engineers. What does it actually do? And the analogy is the desktop publishing. 25 years ago, people used to manufacture brochures by designing it by hand, taking it to a production house, 2,000 square meters, 20,000 square feet of production facility, printing papers. Process takes back and forth a month, and then eventually you produce 50,000 brochures, send it to your customers. Then 15 years ago came the desktop publishing, 20 years ago, and suddenly you have a computer in the office, and you have a huge high-profile machine printer in the office, prints everything in colors, glossy paper, and you don't need to prepare and to have inventory and to go to production house. You do it all on your machine. That is what our machine does for the PCB industry. The PCB industry is a $70 billion industry.
Did you guys get that analogy, right? So he's saying essentially people used to design their brochures by hand, and then they would send them off somewhere, and there'd be all this back and forth, and then eventually they would have 50,000 brochures printed, and they'd have to keep that inventory on hand because it was cheaper, right, to print a bunch all at once from these printing houses. And that's essentially what we have in the PCB industry right now. And now what's changed, right, is that they're disrupting a $70 billion industry, a $70 billion industry. One of their partners, Hensel, did some cool analysis on testing out how quickly the Dragonfly LDM system was versus the traditional PCB market right now. So that's what we're gonna talk about in this segment, okay?
Yeah, the prototyping, instead of taking one of our customers in Europe, Hensel, they developed a very sophisticated PCB in-house, and they decided to compare. So they gave it to two groups. One group did it traditional way, and one group did it with our machine. The difference was a traditional way took the development and the prototyping 4 months. With our machine, it took about 7 to 10 days.
And that's revolutionary.
The traditional way of manufacturing these PCBs right now, and we know this, it takes weeks to months. With the Dragonfly LDM system, With Nano Dimension's technology, patented technology, it takes a week and a half. I mean, it really, really is revolutionary technology. In this next part, they talk about what we all want to know, the direct offerings. And we've all been speculating forever, okay? And I did share with you guys that report from which I found out from many of you that are either Israeli or used to live in Israel, that the report was from Globes, which is a legit, very reputable, if not the very top financial news outlet in Israel. So we shared that with you based on an interview and a statement that Yoav Stern gave to Globes. But this is a definitive statement from Yoav Stern himself on what they plan on doing with the money that they raised through these direct offerings, okay? So that's what this next part is about.
Raised more than $300 million in recent weeks. You have a cash balance now around $400 million. How do you deploy that capital?
Okay, we have a very, very clear direction and plan, which obviously changed and developed over the last 2 months during the corona as we realized that the market is actually supporting us so strongly. So now, with the amount of money you have mentioned, we intend to do really 2 things. We intend to use part of it for acquisitions of companies that are synergistic with our technology and with our markets. Obviously, we don't have competition yet, but we have what could be competition. So we intend to defend ourselves that way and improve our product by buying these companies. And we're talking together with Needham & Company, which are M&A advisors. I've spoken with 35, 40 out of 65 companies I looked at over the last 4 months. So that will be a use of proceeds of about half of that money over time, obviously, in the right price.
Did you guys hear that? He said a very specific thing. He said companies, plural, which means they plan on buying out the competition, right? Like he said, we don't have competition right now. And based on what we've talked about with Nano Dimension, right? They're at least a couple years ahead of any competition. They've spent more money on R&D than anybody else, right? But he says there are potential competitors and we're going to buy them. That's essentially what he said, right? So they're going to be about half of the capital that they raised is going to purchase other companies. Now, what I would love for you guys to do, and we have a lot of fun when we do this. Now, you got about $200 million to work with. What companies does Nano Dimension buy? $200 million. They're going to buy companies that are synergistic, but also potential competitors. And I would love to have that discussion with you either over on the Discord or down in the comment section here on YouTube. So let me know what you guys think, or what companies you think that that Yoav Stern and Nano Dimension here are going to purchase. Okay, let's move on with what they're going to be doing with the second half of the money. Okay,
the second half is we are accelerating our product development. We decided that rather than investing and over-investing in marketing and sales right now, when the market is really not there and the corona is keeping our customers at home, and this is not software business, they can't work from home if they're working in a laboratory. And so any money we spend on that will be wasted until corona subsides. So we estimate the corona will subside in 2-3 quarters. So in this time, we are investing the rest of the money, and we're not going to finish it. We have enough for the next 5 to 10 years, but we are going to accelerate dramatically the product development. We will get to the inflection point, which takes valuation of the company and revenue 10 times. And the inflection point is when our machines, which are now in development, are getting into production, not only prototyping. The minute our machines start to produce larger volumes of high-performance electronic device, HiPads, we will be in a position where the desktop publishing was 20 years ago. We're changing the industry, and more importantly, we're making it clean industry, environmental friendly, and being able to reshore it back to the United States and Europe, where $70 billion of it, or 65, is in the Far East.
Guys, that section for me was more exciting than the potential acquisitions. And I'll tell you why, right? A company like Nano Dimension investing a ton of money into R&D to make their machines smaller, but not only smaller, but faster, so they can reach what he's saying is an inflection point in the market. Not only can they do prototyping, but eventually mass producing high performance 3D printed circuit boards. And he specifically said, we have enough cash for the next 5 to 10 years. Does that mean that they're not going to raise more money? No. As long as there is a market for them to raise money, they will raise money. As long as there is a demand from institutions they will do direct offerings. I don't see why they wouldn't raise money in this climate. But now we have a statement saying, hey, we have enough cash for the next 5 to 10 years for product development. Now, they're accelerating their product development. We know from previous presentations and previous talks and interviews and things like that from Yoav Stern himself and earnings calls that they planned on having a machine that is smaller than the LDM system that does the same thing or better and faster by the end of 2021, the beginning of 2022. Now, he's saying we're going to eventually reach an inflection point where we're going to be able to use the printers to mass produce high performance PCBs, 3D printed high performance PCBs in a way that is cleaner and cheaper. I mean, this is exciting. This is exciting news. I'm really, really excited for Nano Dimension in the future. Nano Dimension will also be part of my 10K to 100K challenge, okay? Because I really think this company, even though we've seen a 400, 500% gain this year, I think we're going to see even more of a gain over the next year. I'm really, really excited for this company, and Nano Dimension will be a long-term hold for me. So what do you guys think? Are you excited? I hope you are. I hope you're having a good new year. I hope you're doing something fun. We ordered Mr. Beast Burger today. If you're not familiar with who Mr. Beast is, what the heck are you doing on YouTube? He has like 50 million subscribers and he does some crazy things. And just a couple weeks ago, he just randomly opened up 300 restaurants all across the country. It's crazy. The food was not good. I'll just be honest. It was kind of terrible. But we wanted to treat ourselves and the kids to Mr. Beast Burger. The kids loved it, maybe because it said Mr. Beast on it, but it really wasn't good. I was not excited. I still love you, Mr. Beast, but Mr. Beast Burger, not my favorite. Okay, buddy. But thank you guys so much. I hope you're more excited about Nano Dimension after this interview. Again, this aired on the Redchip Money Report. It actually airs live on Bloomberg International. In front of, I think, like 100 million different households. So this is a big deal. It seems really small on YouTube. I'm gonna link this interview down in the description so you can learn more if you want to. It's about an 18-minute interview, but I wanted to share a couple snippets with you that I thought were the biggest takeaways that I had and that I was excited about. Anyway, so guys, this is good. We have definitive knowledge of what they're going to be doing with this cash. They're going to be buying companies that will be potential competition, multiple companies, and they're going to be spending a ton of money on research and development to accelerate the inflection point between prototyping and mass production. Guys, have a happy new year. Thank you so much for joining me. If you're interested in the 10K to 100K challenge, the challenge will be starting on Monday, January 4th. I would tell you to not join Patreon until tomorrow, because if you join today, you're going to get billed again tomorrow. Don't do that. That's silly. Unless you want to give me extra money, which I do not need, I promise. Thank you guys so much for joining me for another video. I appreciate you. As always, if you didn't already do it, click that beautiful red subscribe button down below, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks.